Welcome to Season 3 of the Lead with Coffee podcast. It's been a crazy year of managing a pandemic, running our company, and our life with 3 teenage boys. Join us as we continue the journey into how you can change the culture in your business and your home through simple leadership practices. Grab a cup of coffee and get ready to join into today's conversation. Hey, welcome back to the Lead with Coffee podcast. We are in the newly renovated studio. It's pretty exciting.
That's right. Every week we add a little bit more to try to give a little more dimension and make it look a little more exciting than just a white wall and us.
Yes. And so now the podcasts are going to be available on YouTube. You can watch it because then you can see the dynamics and the faces that we're actually making to each other when we're talking. So today we want to talk about striving for excellence. This is David's topic, and he is so excited to dive into this. And I feel like we were just talking about it's really struggling for excellence.
Yeah.
Because even setting up the podcast equipment today feels like a struggle, but we're trying to get there. We want to give you excellence in what we're doing.
Oh my gosh, the struggle is real. Yeah, it's taken a little bit to get this thing going. It's a lot of equipment, a lot of different things that we're trying to make the experience the best. But there's a lot going into it.
There is a lot going into it. So, striving for excellence. Excellence is something that you see on almost every value of every organization. It's not hard to find that as a keyword that people use. But what is it and how do you achieve it? If this is your value, like we have it as a value, navigating change and delivering excellence is the slogan for our company, CBSI. And we do construction and relocation management. And how do you explain that to a new employee? How do you explain that to your clients? What is just delivering excellence? Yes, that says more. But when you have a value that typically just says excellence in what? Excellence in showing up for work, excellence in serving clients, excellence in how we treat one another. What is it?
Yeah, all of the above. And really the point of the excellence is we don't just want to show up to do work, to clock in at 8 and clock out at 5, and we did some things and we served some clients and responded to some emails. Delivering excellence is more of an attitude and more of how am I going to approach everything that I do, and am I going to try to go over and above what most people expect? Am I going to make a mistake, recognize my mistake, and show that I'm not going to make that mistake again? These are all things that are kind of around excellence. And again, it's more of trying to do your very best, give your very best, whether it's to your client or to your coworker or, gosh, the UPS guy that shows up to deliver a package.
Mm-hmm. I think it ties into our conversation over the last few podcasts where we were talking about Eric Thomas and his do you want to be average?
Yeah.
Are you showing up to be average? Is that your goal? Is your organization striving for average? I mean, you don't typically hear that as people's value propositions. We're striving for average,
That's
right? Or are you striving for excellence? And that's what we want to talk about today, that as an organization, we help clients navigate change, no matter what that is in their organization. And we're not striving for average service. That's not going to be what keeps us around for another 10, 15 years. Delivering excellent service and over and above is what's kept us in the business for 30 years as a small business, which is so rare. And we're not a business that does heavy marketing. We don't have a business development person, but really it is the recognition of what you do. And when clients tell other colleagues and other potential clients about your services because you were not average, you did something exceptional while you were serving them, that's how you stay in business.
Yeah, and I would also say that the excellence, it's a mindset. It's not like you performed one task really good or maybe even excellent in the way you did it, but it's more of the mindset that every time we do something, everything that we deliver, we want to raise that bar. We want to do better. And it's, it could even be responding to an email. Did you just respond, or did you put a little more effort into it to show that you were going to go out of your way to satisfy that client? And so, we teach our team and talk with our team and with each other and our clients that the mindset of delivering excellence is that we want to make sure that they feel like they hired us for a reason, and we're going to go over and above in our attitude, in how we approach things. Is everything going to be perfect? Is every project going to be perfect? Is every day going to be perfect? Not even close. You don't get that anywhere. But the intent is, look, we are here to do what we can to provide a service over and above what your expectations were. And if we made a mistake, we are going to admit to that mistake, and we're going to see what we can do better next time.
So let's break that down a little bit more. Do you feel like excellence is perfection? Is that what you're asking the team to strive for and what you're trying to lead others? Is it about being perfect in what you do? Or what is it? What is that to you?
No, I don't think there is perfection. I think that, that's not what I'm trying to get at. Perfection is you get it right every time and there's going to be no mistakes, and that's just not the reality of life. So excellence is, again, more of the mindset that, you know what, I could just deliver this product, or, you know what, if I spent another hour or made a couple more phone calls and got a couple more pieces of or facts or information, the product that I deliver is going to be that much better. And so it's not perfection, but it's excellence is striving to just get a little bit better, a lot better than average, but a little bit better than what would be acceptable, I guess. Make sense?
It does. I just wanted to press you in a little bit because that's fun.
See if I really living it out.
You really are. Well, and I think what we just did with our team, for me, striving for excellence means that you're going to evaluate what's working, what's not working. You're going to constantly be reviewing with your team and kind of doing a case study. And we just did that. We had just wrapped up a really large manufacturing move that came with a lot of unique challenges that no one could have ever foreseen. And some we maybe could have foreseen. And so we did a lunch and learn, and we sat down with our team and we talked about all the different aspects, from contracting to implementation of the relocation to the claims process. And what did that look like? How did we find areas where we could have caught something maybe before we went in to meet with the client? Or what could we have done better once an incident occurred to make sure that we followed all the protocols to eliminate the stress on the back end? And I think no matter what type of business you have, whether you're in production, sales, whatever, there are things that happen in your business that you can foresee when there's a stopping point, when there's a red flag, when there's a trigger that's being set off. And if you just keep going through because your end game is just to finish, man, you're going to have a lot of these lunch and learns where you're debriefing of like what could be better and what's the best practice moving forward. And we came out with some really good best practices. And we've been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah.
And we are always looking for how do we improve? How do we serve clients better? And how do we feel at the end of a project? Do we feel like we delivered excellence? And if not, what happened there?
Right, and I think that says a lot. We've been doing this for a long time, and you kind of feel that you know what the steps are, you know how to get through a project, you have all the procedures in place. But if you're not ever checking those procedures, because just as we all know, we've all had to pivot in some way over these last couple of years. Well, the procedures you had before don't necessarily work anymore now. And so I think, having a debrief after a project or after a big meeting is important to understand how you could have done, or a presentation, how you could have done things better. So having this lunch and learn, and really not Sarah and I saying this is what happened, this is how we're going to fix it. It was the dialogue of, okay, staff, team that was out there that saw things, what would you do given this scenario the next time? How would you handle it? Or what would you do now to prepare yourself to not get in that same position? And these are all the things that we talk about to want to be above average and deliver that excellence. And if it's to spend a couple hours just talking as a team to figuring out the things you did wrong or you could do better or you could foresee, those are the things that are going to get you closer to delivering that excellent product to your client, which is the ultimate goal.
Yeah, and leadership tip here, when you're doing debriefs, it has to be something they come up with. If you want it to stick, if you want it to land, it cannot just be yours, like David said. So we've talked about it before. A practice I use a lot is to ask questions. So we would put a topic up there, for example, safety, and we would say, where did you see safety issues that could have been foreseen before we started the project? And we're there. And then we wait. And we let them pause. And it's okay that if it takes a minute or two, because not everyone's processing. You know the answer already. You wrote the dialogue, but you have to pull it out of them. And then when they bring it up, then you dive into that a little bit more. Tell me a little bit more about what you think in your experience we could have done differently, or could we have done something different? Could this have been foreseen or not? And if not, okay, well, this is a good lesson learned of what did we do after it happened then to make sure that we followed all the protocols. But really, it was just having this conversation with them that made them feel like they were involved in the process, that we weren't just pointing out all their faults. It was just, let's learn and grow together.
And I would say, going through this process, I realized that I stepped into the project and allowed something to happen that I should have never allowed to happen safety-wise, that we weren't, the situation wasn't prepared well enough, and I didn't stop it immediately, which I should have, which would have delayed things for half a day or a day. It would have been the right thing to do, and that was a lesson learned for me, just as the president of the company, setting an example to the rest of the staff, and I own that. I had to. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Say, well, you guys made some mistakes, but I'm okay. You can bypass me. No, it starts at the top, and I had to own the things that I did not address correctly and know that I will never put myself in that position again.
Yeah, I think excellence is not by title.
No.
If your company is striving for excellence, then it is every layer of the organization has the same rules. And it can't be, there's a different rule for David because he has a different title than one of our project managers. The expectation for delivering excellence has to be the same, and it has to be followed the same. And so that is also something you see in organizations everywhere. Do as I say, not as I do. And how many leaders do you know that are talking the talk, but then they turn around and they're modeling something totally different, and they get a pass because they're the top person of the organization? Who's going to tell them, hey, you're really contradicting what you're saying by your actions? Nobody, because a lot of times, the people below you are going to tell you what you want to hear. No, you're doing a great job, right? And then they walk into the break room or the office with someone else, and they're like, man, David's really doing whatever the heck David wants to do, and he's writing me for not following protocol, right? And I think that's just an example of what can happen. So if you're a leader, you have to catch yourself, because it's really easy, because you have authority to say, well, I'm gonna shift our policy right now because I can, and I need to get this done, and so I'm going to. And who's going to tell me I can't?
Well, and I would add on to that after the fact, your team will talk about that exact action, that, hey, he said that we should do it this way, but he's not following it. And if you want a team that's going to follow you, you got to lead them in places that you want them to go. And you cannot say, you do it this way, but I'm going to do it this way. It's not going to, you're going to lose the trust. You're going to lose that team commitment, and you're going to lose them wanting to deliver any sort of excellence, because they think, well, if he can change it, then why can't I too? So it all matters, and we say this all the time, that, leaders, man, you have to show and act and talk in a way that is going to motivate the team to want to follow those. And if it's in a bad way, they're going to follow it in a bad way. You have to decide, as the leader of an organization or the leader of a team, what your boundaries are, what your limitations are, and what does your integrity look like? And is it going to be the same in front of clients as it is behind clients?
Yeah. I think the beauty of our organization are the dynamics of our leaders. We all have really different backgrounds. And so some of us really are more contractual and legal minded. Others are really client focused minded. And we are able to challenge each other with that. And it's not always pretty, but that is part of leadership, to be able to say, you're focused right now only on the end user look and feel. And we were hired to be in the best interest of that client, which means that we may have to make a really hard decision right now that slows things down, but it will protect us in the long run for our company, not just protecting the client at all costs, because you're still representing a company and serving a client. And that teeter-totter tends to get out of balance a lot because we will put our company to the side to do whatever it takes to serve the client. But striving for excellence means that you have to balance that out to make sure you're not risking your company to serve someone else's company.
See, that's why I renamed it Struggling for Excellence.
Struggling for excellence.
It's a lot of work.
It's not easy. So you put it on your value proposition, people. Make sure you're trying to figure out how to live it.
Yeah, make sure. Gosh, and every day is going to be a different battle for one way or the other. And hey, if you're burned out or tired, it's going to be harder to want to strive for excellence. And those are the things you got to check each other on and realize, hey, maybe you need a timeout to step away and before you respond to that email or before you have that presentation, if your mind isn't there and you're not going to be able to deliver that client presentation to the level that you want and know you can, you got to figure those things out. And maybe it is you step away for half a day and just debrief with yourself and relax, maybe go for a walk on the beach or something to get your mind in a place where you know that you are ready to strive and show the excellence that you can produce.
It's hard.
Yeah, it's way hard.
It's really hard. So what happens when you're doing everything you know to do? You're aligning with your values in your organization. You're serving your clients well. You're delivering excellence just like you have to all the other clients who praised you before for that exact work style. And you have a client that is just totally unsatisfied. How do you balance that when you haven't changed, but the client is just different? Then your model hasn't changed, but you've changed the client.
Yeah, that's way rough. And I think, bottom line is if you can walk in your own personal integrity and know that you've done everything that you can in your own power to serve a client really well, there are times where they're just never going to be satisfied and it's never going to be enough. But you have to realize, whether you're just a part of the team or if you're the leader of the team, that has more to say with the culture of that business than it does with the culture of your business and your work ethic and the things that you're doing to try to strive for excellence. Because there are some times where it will certainly never be enough, no matter what you do, but you have to be able to still walk in there with your shoulders back and head held high, that I've done everything I can. I feel good in my own position, and I can sleep at night knowing that I've done everything I can to serve this client well.
Yeah, we've been going through a season with a client that has really challenged us in our leadership. As servant leaders, we are always looking to make sure that clients are satisfied. It is about, how do I serve you? How do I serve you well? How do I deliver excellence? And when that's your culture, that's ingrained here. That is what we believe. It's our values. All of our employees follow the same belief that we can serve well. And that means that we can show up, we can build relationships, build trust, navigate the changes. It's not going to be perfect. No project or client ever is. But we are going to put everything we have, all of our experience, into making sure that you have a good outcome, because that's what you've hired us for. And we went through a season of about 9 months working with a client, and they had their own challenges. They were going through their own issues. And when you walk into that and all you want to do is deliver excellence and serve them well, and nothing you do is ever appreciated or valued, and you are just challenged regularly, that's hard to keep showing up. What do you say to people that don't want to show up anymore for that client?
Well, and I think the comparison is great, because then you have another client basically, running in line at the same time, where you are being praised and they are appreciative, and it a lot of the same challenges, but being appreciated by one and not by the other. Again, I think it really goes back to, look, I know that I can fall asleep at night knowing that I have done my very best. I haven't tried to cheat anybody. I haven't lied to anybody. I haven't, not delivered everything I possibly can. I've done what I've been able to do over and above. And now I'm not talking perfection here. We all make mistakes every single day of our lives. We, whether it's the things we say or the things we do or react, it's never going to be perfect. But if you know that your integrity is solid and you haven't done anything that would offend anybody, and you're still being told that it's not good enough, again, it is not you, it is on them. And you have to have confidence in yourself that you have done your part and you've done it well. There are some people that will never be satisfied.
Yeah. And for us, it was a season where we had to really be careful about what we were sharing, about how we were feeling about the situation, because we had to build up our team who had to keep going into that client and keep serving that client when they didn't feel valued. And I think as the leaders of the organization, we can easily just walk away, get busy, and just keep sending our team in saying, good luck, you got this, it's going to be over in 4 months, hang in there. And you're not seeing what's happening to them. You're not seeing their confidence drop. Engagement is getting less, and you're watching kind of the behaviors start to change for that individual and the self-doubt. And that is because you're not feeling like you're making progress. You're not able to feel like you're moving forward. And everything you've been trained to do, you're doing it exactly that way. But this client is responding totally different. And I think our best hindsight now that we're through it is realizing that particular client was never going to be in a position to see our value, because they were so overwhelmed with what they were going through that it was always going to be a negative interaction, because they didn't have the ability to even see how someone was serving them to try to lessen the burden. They were just living this burden, and you were just a contractor that needed to get in, get out, and serve them, right? Regardless of how they treated you. And it's unfortunate, because sometimes the clients you're looking forward to the most and you think are going to be the easiest can be your most challenging, because you're not preparing yourself for the challenge. You're preparing yourself for ease. I know them. We've got a great relationship. This is going to be the best one we've ever done. And it turns into the biggest nightmare you've ever had, because you were blindsided. And when you're going into a new client you don't know, you're kind of ready to navigate those changes, right?
Well, and I'll also go back to the questionnaire basically that we have as a business for new clients, and do they meet a certain criteria that fits what we do and what we do well. And sometimes and I think everyone should do this. It's 8 questions of, does it fit how we can be successful to manage them? And I think we bypassed it on this one, and there would have been a couple red flags up front that maybe we would have decided that this wasn't a good project for us. And I think, it's hard, trust me, as a small business, when you get an opportunity for a decent-sized project, you want it. But on the tail end, there are some projects that you are okay to say no to. And I think we even talked about that in the last couple podcasts, that sometimes you have to make those hard decisions. And I tell you, and it's just like not spending enough time hiring the right employee. If you don't spend the time up front making sure you do your due diligence, that could cost you so much more in the end. And I think this is a situation where, had we followed that protocol that we have set in place, we might have avoided all the trouble at the end.
Yeah, it was something we developed about 3 years ago. We had a great mentor who shared this vision with us that she uses to run her organization. And she kind of challenged us and said, what's your baseline when you're looking at a proposal and you're deciding whether you're going to go for it? What are your baseline factors and the criteria that you have in your organization to say yes or no? And it was interesting because it was really kind of like, I think they just always say yes. And
Right.
until it doesn't, until the client says no. And so we shifted our mindset to realize that we do bring a lot of value in. There's a cost to that value. There's a time commitment to that value. And there's also a relationship commitment to that value. So, is this the right type of partner? Do you align with our business model for what we're trying to do? Is it even the right industry that you're asking us? Are you asking us to go, produce widgets? We don't produce widgets. We're consultants. We don't produce product. We help you navigate change in your organization, whether it's construction, tenant improvement, relocations. But there, like David said, there's red flags. And so if you're coming in and you're saying, this is a $100,000 project, and they say, well, I can pay 40. And you're like, okay, well, what happened there, right? Basically, we just said, we don't believe in the value that we've set for our organization.
Yes.
We don't believe our time is as valuable as we bid it for. We feel like your relationship matters more than our business. And so we're going to set aside our business model because we have a relationship. And so there's all these factors that kind of check into it. And in the end, I think when you ignore those factors and problems start happening, you have a resentment because it's like, wait, we have a relationship. I gave you a huge discount. I invested all this time and energy in you, and you still don't even see us as valuable. You just keep telling us all the things we're doing wrong, how we're not meeting your expectations, how we're not giving you excellence. And so I think that is where we had to pause as leaders and go back to our team and say, we need to finish strong. We need to serve this client. We're going to learn a lot of lessons about having pre-existing relationships and giving great deals and what that means to us in the long run. And to remember that we bring a lot of value. We have a lot of evidence to show that we as an organization can do well. So don't let this set you back years from having a really bad experience and feeling like you failed this client all the way through when you didn't. You're just not getting validation or, any kind of response back that says you delivered excellence. And that's hard.
Yeah, and I'll just break that down because really, and you said it, that there is a value in our time and there is a cost to have we sell our time. Mm-hmm. And if we're cut back 60% of our time, how would we even be able to deliver the excellence that we know what it's going to take to actually do it? And so I think that was a critical mistake on our part to say, we can still get through this and, get most of it done when we've already cut back what it's going to take to do it. And again, you leaders, there is value and there is a cost to do good business. And when you doubt yourself to cut yourself back that far, you're putting yourself in a bad position. And I think that's a huge lesson for us that we probably won't do again. And again, those are the situations where, hey, maybe it's the time to back out of this because they don't value what it's going to take to get the job done. We are the professionals in this realm and know what it's going to take. And if we're being told you can do that in less than half, don't do it.
Right.
Don't do it. You can demand your worth. Mm-hmm. And you have to be confident enough to do that. And it could cost you up front, but it's better than costing you at the end.
Yeah. So this particular client, we basically served them for free with the amount of time that we're still investing into trying to clean up situations. And at the end of the day, you went in with the right intent. You went in with the right mindset. but it was not the right partnership. And that, I think, is something that's always very hard. It's hard to say no, but man, the lessons we've learned. And part of excellence is taking responsibility. And so we are taking that responsibility that we said yes. And for all the reasons we should have said no, we said yes. And we kept saying yes because the relationship we had with this partner was so much more valuable to us than the profit margin and our time. And that was a hard lesson to learn when you're running a business. If you're an independent consultant and you want to donate your time, that's amazing. We should not be donating our employees' time to serve clients when we normally charge for that, especially with large projects like this.
Yeah, so, just to wrap this up, we talked about some project-specific things, but when it comes to excellence, again, it is more of a mindset. And we threw out a bunch of different scenarios of how you deliver excellence through tough times. I always want to give my very best, and I'm never going to be perfect. I'm never going to, I'm not going to get it right all the time, but having confidence that if I made a mistake, you know what, I'm going to do better next time. If I got myself in a situation, I'm going to finish that, whatever it is, to the best of my ability and learn from it. So the next time around, you have those keys, you have those tools to have learned to put yourself in a position to deliver your absolute best in the next scenario that you get yourself into. So again, excellence is not about I'm perfect at everything I do. And those of you that say, or those that you hear it from that say I'm awesome, don't believe it, number one. But it's not about saying that you're excellent or that you're perfect. It's what is your mindset? What are you doing? What is your integrity to be able to put your best foot forward and show that you are here to produce, you are here to have the client win, and you're here to show that your team can win. Thanks for listening to the Lead with Coffee podcast. You can find out more about us at leadwithcoffee.com or follow us on Facebook and Instagram. If you love our time together, please share it with your friends to help grow our community of leaders. Remember, life gets better with every cup of coffee. Just don't buy the cheap stuff. Mahalo.